In this presentation, we are going to see about what is phobia. I am P.N. Anjani, Assistant Professor from Sri Balaji College of Nursing, will now present about phobia. So, a phobia is an exaggerated and irrational fear. The term phobia is often used to refer to a fear of a particular trigger, anything that creates a fear within a person, and that is called as a phobia. A phobia is a persistent, excessive, unrealistic fear of an object, person, animal, activity, or a situation. It is a type of anxiety disorder. A person with phobia either tries to avoid the thing that triggers the fear or induce it with a great anxiety and distress. So some phobias are very specific and limit. So all the person with phobia either try to avoid the thing that trigger or it will create a great amount of anxiety in a person. So this is the definition of a phobia. So we need to understand about phobias. So the National Institute of Mental Health reports that there are about 10 million United States adults may experience phobia, and phobia disorders can come in multitude forms, but they often involve similar parts of the brain. Studies indicates that specific phobias affect between 7% and 9% of the United States population. Twice as many women as men reports experiencing a phobia. And women are more likely to experience phobias related to the environment, a situation, or animals. So women are more exposed to when this kind of situation will experience more of phobias. Phobias related to blood, injection, or injury are experienced almost equally by all individuals. So any person who is very phobic towards blood injection and injury is very common, and naturally they will avoid going to near to an injection spot or a blood stains. So this is very common phobias everybody may exhibit. Phobias may occur in higher rates in children with autism. So there are studies proving that children with autism are the higher risk of going for phobias. So past incidences or traumas, this could be one of the main causes of phobia. There are certain situations might have a lasting effect, and how you feel about them will create some phobias within a person. Learned response from your early life. Your phobia may develop from factors in your childhood environment. So already in your childhood, if you have experience of phobia, that may incorporate with you in your later life of stages of your life. So what is the learned response at the earliest stage? We'll talk about your phobia at the later stages. So this is also again one of the causes of phobia. Reactions and response to the pain, panic, or fear. So there has to exhibit a flight or fight response. So what is the reaction? What is the response? Based upon that, they'll go for panic or they'll go for fear. Experiencing a long-term stress. When a person is having phobia, for a prolonged period of time, it will experience a long-term stress within a person. Apart from that, genetic factors also contribute to be the causes of the phobia. So there are so many causes in that past incidences or traumas or some learned experiences already been exposed to a situation that has been carried over the years. That could be another reason. Our reactions or response to the panic or fear, long-term stress and genetical factors are all contributing factors to create a phobia within a person. However, there are three different types of phobia as recognized by the American Psychiatric Association APA. This includes specific phobia. So what is specific phobia? It is an intense, irrational fear of a specific trigger. Yes, that is specific phobia. What is social phobia or a social anxiety? This is a very common phobia. This is a profound fear of a public humiliation and being singled out or judged by others in a social situation. The idea of a large social gathering is terrifying for someone with social anxiety. It is not the same as shyness. So this should not be compared with the shyness of a person. Some persons, few peoples will not be comfortable being exposed to a society or to a social gathering. So naturally they'll create some fear within them. They'll go for anxiety and all. So that is a typical example of a social phobia or a social anxiety. Agoraphobia. So this is the fear of a situation from which it would be difficult to escape. A person had to experience extreme pain, such being in the lift or being outside of a home. It is commonly misunderstood as a fear of open spaces, but could also apply to being confined in a small space, such as an elevator or being on a public transport. People with agoraphobia have an increased risk of panic disorders. So these people, they'll avoid going into a small confined places, like if for example lift and all they'll not usually use, and in the public transport also when it is going to be a small confined places they'll keep avoiding them. So this kind of phobia is called as agoraphobia, which is very common among certain individuals. Specific phobias are known as simple phobias. They can be linked to a identifiable cause and may not frequently occur in everyday and individuals, such as snakes. So every day we are not going to see snakes, and this every day will not have this kind of phobias. Once in a while, if we are going to be exposed to a snakes, naturally we'll have that fear of snakes. So this is again specific. Only if we see a snake, we will have that phobia. If you are not going to see the snake, you are not going to land up with a phobia. So this is all very common other specific phobias. These are therefore not likely to affect day-to-day living in a significant way. Since we are not going to be exposed to a situation, this is not going to affect our life in a day-to-day basis. Social anxiety, agoraphobia are known as complex phobias, as their triggers are less easily recognized. People with complex phobias can also find it harder to avoid triggers such as leaving the house or being in a group. So this is all called as a complex phobias, especially the social anxiety and the agoraphobia. The most other common specific phobias are claustrophobia. It's a fear of being in constricted, confined places, and fear of flying. So that is called as aerophobia. Arachnophobia is fear of spiders. Driving phobia is fear of driving a car. Emetophobia is fear of vomiting. Erythrophobia is fear of blushing. So see, these are all very common specific phobias. Apart from the specific phobias, these are all adding other kinds of phobias. Not everybody will have every phobia. One in a person will have a different types of phobias at a time. So this is all other common types of phobias, and the list continues. It is hypochondria. It's like fear of becoming ill. They'll have keep on having fear whether I'll become ill, or I may have to seek a medical treatment. Such kind of fear and anxiety will be there within a person. That is called as hypochondria. Zoophobia is the fear of animals. Aquaphobia is fear of water. Acrophobia is fear of heights. Blood injury and injection phobia, it's a fear of injuries involving blood. Escalophobia is fear of escalators. Tunnel phobia is fear of tunnels. So these people, they'll be very specific to such a phobias, and certain people with such phobias will avoid going to a situations. So changes in the brain. What happens when a person is having a phobia, or what causes a phobia in a person? We'll see some areas of the brain store and recall dangerous or potentially deadly events. If a person faces a similar event later on in life, those areas of the brain retrieve the stressful memory, sometimes more than the once. This causes the body to experience the same reaction. In a phobia, the areas of the brain that deal with fear and stress keep retrieving the frightening even inappropriately. So the areas of the brain which are going to deal with the fear and stress keep retrieving the event inappropriately. So this person is kept in the phobia all the time when the situation comes. So researchers have found that phobias are more linked to the amygdala, which lies behind the pituitary gland in the brain. This amygdala can trigger the release of flight or fight response. Hormones are being reduced. So this puts the body and mind in a highly alert and stressed state. So as a person has to fight or he has to flight from the situation. So this amygdala will put the body under the release of fight or flight, and this puts the body and mind in a highly alert and a stressed state. So these are all the events happening inside the brain when a patient is exposed to phobia. So what are the signs and symptoms of phobia? These are all the common signs and symptoms. A person with phobia will experience the following symptoms. They are commonly seen among the majority of phobias. First of all, a sensation of uncontrollable anxiety when exposed to the source of fear. A feeling that the source of that fear must be avoided at all cost. Not being able to function properly when exposed to the trigger. Acknowledgement that the fear is irrational, irreasonable, and exaggerated, combined with an inability to control the feelings. So these are all some common signs and symptoms a person may exhibit with being on phobia. So other signs and symptoms includes a person is likely to experience feeling of panic and intense anxiety when exposed to the object of the phobia. The physical effects of this sensation can include sweating, abnormal breathing, accelerated heartbeat, trembling, hot flushes, or chills. And finally, a choking kind of sensation where you kept choking like a thing happens. So these are all other common signs and symptoms a person can exhibit when they are under phobia, and if they are going to show the signs and symptoms of intense anxiety, this will be the common signs and symptoms. Apart from that, they'll have confusion and disorientation. They'll have nausea, dizziness, headache, chest pain or tightness, butterflies in the stomach, pins and needles, and dry mouth. So these are all common other signs and symptoms you can exhibit. A person can show when they are under the influence of phobia and fear. Treatment. So there are so much of treatment available in order to treat phobia. So medication. The medical model places emphasis on the genetical and brain chemistry components of phobias. Medications are prescribed to reduce the symptoms associated with phobias. Studies, however, show that in phobias, cognitive behavioral approaches tend to be more effective long term than medication approaches. Yes, so in the studies have shown that in phobias, cognitive behavioral approaches are seen to be more effective than long term medication approaches. So it's going to be a combination of pharmacological therapy and a cognitive behavioral approaches. It's all go hand in hand in such a way a person is going to be treated. The following medications are effective for the treatment of phobias. First of all, we have beta blockers. These can help to reduce the physical signs of anxiety that can accompany a phobia. There are so much of side effects still. Side effects may include an upset stomach, fatigue, insomnia, and cold fingers. But when patient is having severe anxiety, these are of great help. Usually, patients are put on beta blockers. There are two other classes of antidepressant medicines that are sometimes used in the case of phobias. One is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors and other is monoamine oxidase inhibitors. So these selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors are called as SSRIs. It's including Celexa, Zoloft, Prozac, and Paxil. These are all common anti-anxiety drugs that is commonly given for patients with phobia. These also have some side effects. It includes potential side effects like headache, dry mouth, drowsiness, sexual dysfunction, diminished sex drive, weight gain. So these are all common side effects you can exhibit when patient is on SSRIs. So other kind of drugs given are antidepressants, serotonin reuptake inhibitors, commonly prescribed for people with phobias. They affect the serotonin levels in the brain, and this can result in a better moods. So SSRIs can initially cause nausea, sleeping problems, and headache if given for a longer time. If the SSRI doesn't work, doctor may prescribe a monoamine oxidase inhibitors MAOI for social phobia. Individuals on a MAOI may have to avoid certain types of food. It also has got certain side effects, may include dizziness and upset stomach, restless heart, headache, and insomnia. And tranquilizers are also of great help when persons are going to be suffering with phobia, in that we are going to add up benzodiazepines. They are all of great good examples of tranquilizers that may be prescribed during a phobia. This may help to reduce anxiety symptoms. People with a history of alcoholic dependence should not be given sedatives. It will create untoward effects within the person with alcohol dependence. So that has to be kept in mind when a patient is found to be alcohol dependence. These kinds of tranquilizers has to be avoided. So apart from therapies, apart from pharmacological therapy, you have other good therapies that goes hand in hand in treating a person with phobia. So we'll see one by one what all the therapies helps in treating a person. So in that, much of importance is given to the behavioral therapy. There are number of therapeutic options in treating a phobia. In that, we have desensitization or exposure therapy. This can help people with phobia to alter the response to the source of fear. They are gradually exposed to the cause of their phobia over a series of escalating steps. For example, you can have an example in that a person with aerophobia, a person is having a fear of flying on a plane, may take the following steps under guidance. Like what all steps will take, we'll see. So first, they will be asked to think about a flying. So you'll be asked, think about flying, how you'll feel like when you're flying. So that kind of thought has to be brought within the person. The therapist will have them look at the pictures of planes. Then the therapist will show them pictures of a plane. The person will go to an airport and see the planes nearer. Then they will escalate further by sitting in a practice simulated aeroplane cabin. It will be like a simulated aeroplane cabin, like we have to imagine that we are inside an aeroplane and all. Finally, they will board a plane one day. So that it goes by step. In one step, the person will lose some kind of anxiety about flying. In such a way, it is planned. So all of a sudden, you cannot make a person to board a plane with aerophobia. So just you'll make them to think about the plane, then you'll have make them to look at the pictures of a plane, then you'll take them to an airport and you'll escalate further by sitting in a simulation kind of environment. Finally, you'll make the person to go in a plane. So this is how the process takes place. So this is about the kind of a cognitive behavioral therapy that is of more helpful in treating a patient with phobia. So doctors, therapist, counselor, or the person with phobia learn different ways of understanding and reacting to the source of their phobia. This can make coping very much easier. Most importantly, this cognitive behavioral therapy can teach a person experiencing phobia to control their own feelings and thoughts. Since you are going very slowly, step by step, you are desensitizing the thoughts of a person. This teach a person experiencing phobia to control their own feelings and thoughts. So unwanted, irrational thoughts will not affect the person further. So it's going to be a team, not only the therapist, that's going to be the doctors, with the therapist, with the counselor and nurse. So they all make up a team and help the person to control their own feelings and thoughts. So this is found to be very much helpful in treating a patient with phobia. Then comes the exposure therapy. Example, here are a few approaches worth trying. So exposure therapy is a type of behavior therapy. With this type of treatment, a therapist usually begins by training you in a relaxation techniques that can calm you when you're under a lot of stress. So, a therapist will teach you or train you to how to use relaxation techniques so that you can calm yourself and you will not have much of stress. Another approach to exposure therapy is systemic desensitization. So, as we have already discussed, it's a systemically you are desensitizing a person's sensation. This is a process of gradually exposing you to a fear-provoking situation from a least scary to the most scary. So, like already we have discussed, showing a person about the pictures of a flight and taking the person to the airport. Then you are putting the patient under a simulation like cabin, and finally you are making the person to fly. So this is how it goes step by step. So least scary to the most scary part, so that you are desensitizing the person systematically so that they can have a control over their feelings and thoughts. So this is a very excellent therapy used in case of certain phobias which are widely used, and it make uses of the therapists, doctors, counselors, etc. Once you are equipped to calm yourself, which is under stress, you and your therapist can build a hierarchy of experience related to your phobia. This includes least scary ones at the bottom and the biggest fears at the top. Exposure therapy is a way of gradually bringing your closer to something you fear. It usually begins first in your imagination, then in various representation, perhaps cartoons, drawings, or photographs. So it starts with your imaginations, then in various representation from like you can show models, you can show your cartoons, you can show a drawings, or simply a photograph can also help you. In such a way, you're showing everything gradually and you're trying to change a person's thoughts and behavior, so you're bringing your closer to something your fear, no, you're bringing something closer so that they can reduce your fear towards that thing. So the situation is you're creating so that the person can handle in a very good way. In such a way you're creating a situation. As you approach each one, your therapist guides you in using your relaxation skills to calm your anxiety. So, of course, therapist will guide you using your relaxation skills how to calm your anxiety. Once you can diffuse anxiety related to one kind of representation, you and your therapist can proceed to the next level of your hierarchy. So, you will set a goals or you will set a steps like thing, hierarchy where you'll set. So one by one, you will keep crossing with the help of your therapist and different skills will be acquiring to overcome your anxiety. In such a way, it will be planned. So once you can diffuse anxiety, your therapist can proceed to the next level of your hierarchy. So you keep moving. Then comes the mindfulness training. Mindfulness training can help to reduce the level of stress you feel. This technique may not stop the initial rush of anxiety a phobia can release. So this technique is not going to stop the initial rush of anxiety, but a mindfulness training may help you to lessen the severity of the fear. So you need to lessen the severity of the fear. Only then you can overcome the fear. So it may be a good idea to work with a therapist to learn mindfulness techniques. So it's always a good idea when other techniques are not much useful, when it's not working to you, you can always think of mindfulness training and you can plan to work with a therapist to learn mindfulness techniques. Practicing them often on your own as well can help you to use them when you are face to face with the phobia. Here are some mindfulness techniques that may be helpful, like meditation, deep breathing exercise. You can help the person to do progressive muscle relaxation techniques can be used. So in a small 2010 study, a mindfulness techniques combined with, it's a combination of both mindfulness techniques and cognitive behavioral therapy improved participants' social phobia symptoms in a long term. So it has to be highlighted like when it's going to be a combination of cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness techniques. It's going to help a person when it is given in a long term. Like it is very useful in the case of social phobia symptoms. So it's an added journal thing I'm telling you, sharing you. So any therapy has to be put in a combination of one or two so that it will be helpful. So in a mindfulness training, we make use of meditation, deep breathing, and progressive muscle relaxation so that our anxiety is being reduced. Hypnotherapy. According to the 2011 research review, there is some evidence that hypnotherapy can also increase the effectiveness of therapy for phobias. Everything is not helping. Sometimes we can adapt a therapy of hypnotherapy also. A licensed therapist with a special training in advanced relaxation techniques can guide you into a state of deep relaxation aimed at reducing your anxiety. Hypnotherapy may help replace some of the unhealthy thought patterns that make phobias worse also. So hypnotherapy is going to help to replace some of the certain unhealthy thoughts that is running inside the patient brain, so that the patient is going to land up with the worst behavior. So in such a way, such a state, hypnotherapy is of going to be a great useful therapy. Virtual reality. Some therapists use virtual reality devices in exposure therapy. Virtual reality allows the therapist to stimulate contact with a phobia without exposing you to actual threat also. In a 2019 research review, trusted source showed that there is some evidence that virtual reality can be good tool to use along with cognitive behavioral therapy in treating phobias. So there is a sources showing that this virtual reality could be a good tool to use along with the cognitive in treating phobias. But more research needs to be done before researchers know whether virtual reality is more effective than exposure to real life threats, because virtual reality is really going to helpful or not. We need to have much more of research to be supported. So this is also an kind of therapy that can be explored in future terms to whether it to say whether it can helpful in the case of phobias. However, it cannot give real life threats, but to some extent this virtual reality will be helpful, that we cannot neglect. So, these phobias are a big part of many people's lives these days and growing medical conditions. People do not realize how badly a phobia can affect their lives. Say they don't receive a medical attention. There are no cures for phobia. So there are treatment which will be helpful the phobia to get over the fear. So it's growing every day. Its phobias are going to be a big part of many persons' life. Many of the people neglect the initial stages. It's going to be a normal, they keep thinking and they don't seek a proper medical attention, but later on they really regret for not taking the treatment at the earliest. So these phobias are gaining importance day by day as the therapists have grown extremely well, and they are so much of therapists and medical persons, doctors, nurses, counselors are there to help a person with phobias. Even though there are different types of phobias around, everything has a different therapies that will be given to a persons with certain phobias. Phobias has to be given importance. There are excellent medicines to overcome phobias. Like we've already seen, we keep giving them anti-anxiolytic medicine, antidepressants we are giving. Apart from that, we are mindfulness training and all you're giving, like you are adjuvating with meditation, like deep breathing exercises and muscle relaxation exercises. All those things are going hand in hand to help these kinds of persons with phobias. So phobias, unless it is not being experienced, you cannot understand the real impact of phobias in our day-to-day life. They are going to create a big issues where they're not able to lead a normal life also. Even though specific phobias comes once in a while and it's going to trigger you, but the social phobias and all, every day we are going to face a society, we are going to face the people and all. These people, they are really finding it's a tough time to overcome this kind of phobias, unless with their own intention they don't come and treat a medical help, seek a medical help. This is all going to be inside the dark of a person. So these phobias can over a period of time can land in with anxiety also, well, can cause very serious issues within a person also. So our medical treatment regimen has grown so much that these phobias can be identified at the earliest, and good amount of care can be given to this person. So by means of different therapies, like we have seen mindfulness training, cognitive behavioral therapy, exposure therapy, hypnotherapy, all these therapies could be made in some combination. And when it is given to a person, it is really helping a person to a larger extent. So they are excellent therapists and counselors. They are playing a major role in helping a person with phobias. It doesn't, there is no need that a person has to survive a life with a phobia all their lifetime, as their excellent treatments are available. It is with the person, they have to come out of their shell to get the treatment available to them. As a nurse, we also have to give the options available to them, so that they take part actively in choosing their options, whichever is suitable for them to overcome this phobia. Every time, this positive reinforcement plays a major role in encouraging the patient to achieve their hierarchy at different levels. So this phobia is a lifelong continuous process. One day it will not be absent also. It will be continuing till a lifetime. So treatment also has to be taken to a longer period of time. Only then the anxiety of a person can be reduced. If not, the anxiety may cause some life-threatening illness also to a person. So far in this presentation, we have seen about what is phobia, how the phobia is being in the United States, how it's affecting the person, how children with ADHD are being affected with phobias, and how women are affected with phobias rather than men. What are the reasons behind this phobia? How genetics is playing a major role in creating a phobia within a person, and what are the signs and symptoms of phobia? If phobia happens, what are the anxiety and panic attacks that will happen to a person? What are the treatments are available to a person, like what are therapies are available, what all kind of medications are available, and what kind of side effects you can expect when giving medicines to a patient. Everything was thoroughly discussed in this presentation. Apart from that, we have spoken about mindfulness training and all, hypnotherapy and all we have spoken. So these are all has to be considered when a treatment for phobia is given. So consider this as a presentation to as a high opener for a treatment of persons with a phobia. As a healthcare person, we have to guide a person in attaining a proper health medical benefits of treatment for a phobia. Hope this presentation will be helpful to you all.